And welcome everyone to episode 62 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga like Kaiju number 8 and Dragon Ball Super. The only thing I really want to bring up about that is that I think a little while ago we got the Kaiju number 8 anime got announced, and the Twitter account has been posting kind of like the anime designs for the cast, kind of one a day for the past few days. So that's been exciting.
Ooh, that is exciting.
The main character looks a little weird.
Oh, really?
I'm hoping it looks better in motion. But that's kind of been what I've been seeing people talk about. I think the rest, everything else they've shown looks fine, but the main character's face they're like, oh, okay.
Is it a trickier art style for kaiju?
Like it's very kind of like sharp and angular. Like you can definitely tell that I feel like they've rounded out the designs a little bit, and everyone's a little kind of like thinner and lankier. Mm-hmm. It works, but I think just the main character Kafka looks a little odd in that style. So we'll see. It's still slated for next year. But
yeah.
I'm excited for everything else, but just sort of like, oh, okay, people are freaking out. I'm not freaking out yet, at least.
No. There's still a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah, well, while you're looking forward, One Piece is looking back. We are purely in the realm of flashbacks. This
pretty much the whole episode, basically.
Yeah. Man, remember when we got like 4 pages for Zoro's flashback?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't remember how long this flashback is, but I guess considering that we don't have that many chapters left in the arc, it can't be that much longer than what we've read beyond here. But,
yeah, it'll probably end. I guess we'll see. Time.
Yeah, probably.
Is my guess.
There are very few flashbacks that I can think of in One Piece that are like, I don't know, a full volume or like a volume and a half, maybe 2.
Mm-hmm. Although when we get to cases like this where we're enjoying it, but I also wonder if at the time people are like, oh God, another flashback. Why are we looking at this?
Yeah. I guess we'll get into it, but like it definitely comes in at a little bit of a weird time, but I can't think of anywhere else I'd put it.
No, that'd definitely be a little tricky. But yeah, Let's get into it with chapter 286, The Shandoran Demon. And Ace, you might be blowing your cover here because you just punched out somebody for disrespecting Whitebeard.
Well, the funny thing is that we'll get into it with the later chapter covers. I don't think he blew his cover, actually.
He's just he made up an excuse like he stole my food.
Right, yeah. He just punched a guy's lights out, and he's like, all right, you think that would be it, but it's not.
Nope.
But I love that Ace seems to have a little bit of a temper when it comes to talking about Whitebeard.
Yeah. Well, very protective, very protective. Well, it's time to get into the chapter itself. And hey, you remember the old lady Amazon? Because I completely forgot her.
I forgot about her. And I love that. Well, she's sitting here trying to do her job, trying to fleece people. And then she's like, you need to run.
Yeah, it's like you gotta get going. Everything is going to get destroyed. And you can flash over to the Angel Island itself. And buildings are still exploding. It's not good.
I do find it funny, just as a quick side comment, that like she was totally in on the whole, like she had connections to, Inaru and the vassals and all that, trying to kind of snitch people out. But like she just either doesn't care or just had no idea what's going on.
Yeah, she's just out of the loop. She informs them, they don't inform her.
So that seems to have been a very one-sided relationship.
Not surprising to be frank, but yeah. And man, good on Conus, like still sticking it out, just hanging out with the ship. That is some dedication.
No, yeah, seriously, God, watching the world end before your eyes on a completely, like, on a group of strangers ship.
And all the while, Luffy is still dragging the ball. He's like, that arc is fast. You're dragging like a 2-ton ball behind you, Luffy. It's amazing you're catching up.
And he's running straight up. I can't get over that.
It's so good. And all the while, the Shandians are evacuating, and that's when the chief is like looking at a statue of Kalgara, is like, please protect everyone, as lightning hits near the crew, and they're like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. And Nami's like, hey, I'll go get Luffy, you all get to the ship.
Yeah, which surprisingly, in that situation, I would be ready to run.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, good on Nami for just going for it like that. That's
I'm gonna stick it out.
yeah, that's pretty impressive. And then all of a sudden, everybody starts waking up.
Yeah.
Wiper stands up. Zoro and Gonfor wake up as well. Of course, Sanji, after getting his second dose, is still out. Pierre's still out, and Chopper's
still out.
Come on, Chopper. You should be waking up. Compared to everybody else, you should be waking up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wiper's awake and just staring off at the way everything is exploding and burning, and Neru is just completely soaking it up. He's loving it.
Yeah.
And that's when it's time for Wiper to flash back to that moment he had with the chief. Saying your ancestor Kalgara had one other reason for wanting to take back our homeland, no matter the cost, and that other reason was he had a dear friend. And that's when we flash into our flashback. That dear friend was Montblanc Noland, which, bringing that back after all this time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had gotten distracted by that because there was another point that I wanted to bring up. But yeah, we're kind of coming. Well, I did want to acknowledge that we are coming full circle on the Noland thing all the way back from Jaya. But the numbering that they call it here, is like it being 400 years ago confuses me for reasons that I was doing a little bit of research before we started recording, and that was one thing I had forgotten to follow up on. I don't know. Keep that in the back of your head. I feel like it should be longer than 400 years ago.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
Before we started, we're not going to go into details or anything like that, but you're saying that rereading this set of flashbacks cleared things up from what you were currently experiencing the manga. Yes. And there's no way I'm going to remember that. Yeah. You're even going to remember that by the time we reach that Probably point. Not. 3 years from now, who knows how long until we reach this
flashback that we're about to get into kind of blew my mind for stuff that we're not going to get to for like 800 chapters.
Oh dear. So yeah.
So
if you're caught up, enjoy this little clarification, I suppose. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, we're going to, as you said, this is probably the best place for a flashback. Like it's a lull in the action. Luffy's heading there, and Wiper's awake, so we finally get that. We had that tease before, so it's time to actually get into it. It also helps that this flashback is really interesting.
It is really interesting. I think what just even as somebody caught up on the series, like the sort of setting that is presented here is so different compared to anything we've ever seen. And we'll ever see. Just as far as like how the One Piece world used to be like. This is sort of a very small look into that, but it is full of so many fascinating details. So I think we should just dive right in.
Yeah. I mean, it begins with a crew that landed at Jaya and immediately get chased off by the Demon of Shandora, who takes a giant ball and chain, I guess is the best way to put it, smashes it into a ship, just completely demolishes this ship and takes out all the men all by himself. It's, Kalgara, he is definitely a demon, says leave everything behind and go. So
that one shot of just him like above all of the wreckage and just the mountain of corpses, it's just like, wow.
Well, I see where we get where Wiper gets his berserker rage from. My God.
Yeah, serious. I mean, hey, just yeet a cannonball straight into the side of a ship.
I mean, we were commenting on Luffy pulling stuff like that, and then we see this like, okay. It's just that's just how strong some of these people get. So my God. But yeah, definitely going for full tribal. Also, quite interesting here. I noticed right away they already have their wings.
Yeah, I can't talk about that.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's up with that, but they already have their wings. That's something.
I know. What I can't talk about.
Oh my God.
That was one of the things that blew my mind.
Oh my God. Whew, okay then.
Yeah, they got him.
Yeah, well, we're introduced to Kalgara, but so elsewhere in the Grand Line, this crew just keeps getting hit by storm after storm, and they're out of provisions, and they're in dire straits. There's no more food, and all of a sudden, the admiral of this ship jumps into the water, and everybody's like, "Oh no! Did he fall? Did he jump? Did he abandon us? What's going on? Did he have a death wish?" And they're like, "No. His clothes are neatly folded. I think we went in there on his by choice." And then all of a sudden, a chestnut pops up, and then the rest of them. And God, I love this reveal.
Yes.
One is that Noland is freaking strong. That he just catches one of the sea beasts. No issues. Like, well, there's food for us. And second, all we'd seen of Noland before this point was that silly, like, string bean, mouth agape,
like children's book drawing.
Yeah, of Noland and what he looks like. And the only accurate part about it was the chestnut head.
Yeah. And it turns out dude's jacked.
Yeah. He puts Cricket to shame, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Cricket's no slouch either.
No. And Cricket's, my God, Noland.
He was just built different, man.
It really is. I love that little swerve. It's like, no, this dude's strong.
And just like I love that last little zinger where he's like, not doing anything really does dull the senses. He's like, man, I just punched out a sea king. I'm having a bad day.
Yeah. Jeez, that took too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the chapter. So I'm going to just move on to the next and see more about this Noland with chapter 287, Kami killing. And we get another 2-page spread where everybody's chowing down on some ramen. And I got to say, that looks really freaking good.
It does look really good. I love Chopper looks so adorable just trying to hold it together. It looks like the bowl's almost too heavy for him.
Right. It's a cute one. I like this one.
Yeah, that's great.
And then as Noland's crew deals with yet another storm, Noland is just calmly writing in his diary.
Yep.
He's like, well, we've been at sea for over 2 years now compared to the 1-month voyages from the past. Again, how do they get out of the Grand Line? I don't know.
Yeah. They're fine somehow.
Yeah, somehow. While he's writing all this and everybody's panicking, there's great storm going on, Noland all of a sudden hears something beautiful like the sound of a bell. And sure enough, we go back to Jaya.
Since they don't offer an explanation for it in the set of chapters that we cover, I'm going to go ahead and throw out my theory that he's got like some kind of mantra ability.
Oh, you know what? I never thought about that.
That's how I interpreted that, and I'm not speaking as like, oh, I know. I'm throwing out a guess as somebody who doesn't remember.
Huh.
But that sort of like he's sort of hearing things that nobody else seems to be able to. So that's what that could be. But I could also be just completely talking out my butt.
I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense. I thought, with how strong he is, I thought it's one of those cases where his senses were just that attuned.
Yeah.
So I happened to hear it. I don't know. On May 21st, 1122, the Age of Kayan. In Jaya, we get the death of the High Priest Pantori, who says on his dying breath, more people are going to die, the crops will succumb as well, only blood will flow into the earth, the land has been cursed. If things keep like this, the village and all Shandians will be wiped out. So if you do it as I say, things will be all right. Pay tribute to the gods through the great Kashigami and sacrifice the most beautiful maiden in the village.
This causes a lot of problems.
Yeah, he really does. Like this old guy is like the villain of this piece, really.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. The other thing, I swear this will be the last time I touch on this. The date here at the start of the chapter of, we're in 1122 in the Age of Kayan. That, I think, is straight up. It cannot be 400 years ago. That is the last I'm going to mention that. But
oh, really?
That contradiction was what was confusing me.
Oh, okay.
And so I think, yeah, this is a much longer time ago, or I could be getting my wires crossed. I'll have to do more wiki searching and come back next time on that. But yeah, that was kind of like these two things are incompatible.
He's been pretty consistent about the 400 years ago for Jaya, because 800 years ago is, I think, when the other thing happened regarding the Jaya and the Shandians. So yeah, I don't know, but
yeah. I'll look into it. I'm confused. I think I'm getting confused is all.
It's fine, but yeah, we get to see more of the Shandians on Jaya, and one of the characters, Seto, has gotten this disease as well, and he's so desperate for it to go away that he starts just rubbing at the blemish with a rock. Like, my God, that's brutal.
Yeah.
And then we get the most beautiful woman saying, yeah, I'll die. Sure.
It's an honor to be chosen as a sacrifice, apparently.
Yeah, it's like, Mom, why are you crying? I'm going to meet the sun god. It's like, but yeah, this Seto meets up with Kalgara and just says that, I wanted to be just like you one day. I wanted to fight to protect this land. I don't want to die like this. You really get a sense of the desperation they're all going through because of everybody just dying.
Yeah, it's going. Whatever is happening there is just like spreading to the entire village.
And thanks to that bell, thanks to that sound, Noland was able to navigate them to Jaya. Where apparently none of the others had heard the bell.
Yeah, that really makes me think it must be mantra.
You could be right. That does seem kind of likely, but hard to say. Yeah, he's just like, oh, cool, some interesting specimens that we can find. Let's explore. Here's some, I forget what they're called, the Southbirds?
The Southbirds.
Yeah, they're just all going through there, and all of a sudden, they hear the bell. And they're like, there are people here. Let's go over this way. And they happen to come across Seto, who's like, oh no, invaders. And Noland sees him. He's like, oh no, tree fever.
Yeah, it's the plague.
Yeah. I was like, all right, we got to go vaccinate all of ourselves. And then let's go look around. So they're just going through the village, seeing anything. It's like, where are the healthy people at? Because all that's left behind is the sick people and all the other devastation from this disease. Yeah. And they're all at the sacrifice ceremony. And this girl's being taken in, and they're going to offer it to the great Kashigami. And I'm getting some major King Kong vibes out of all this, I gotta say.
Yep.
And the Kashigami shows up, and it's the giant snake.
This is also something that the wiki pointed out to me. This is the same altar that the Mary was on for a bit.
Oh my god, I never put that together.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
It's because of the wall around it and whatnot.
Yeah, you wouldn't think of it, but it's, yeah.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
That's just just the juicy world building, man.
Right? That's good stuff. All of a sudden, as everybody's praying to the Kashigami as he's preparing to eat this most beautiful woman, and all of a sudden there's a splash as something falls into the water, and the Kashigami gets his head chopped off by Noland.
I love that. I was like, oh hey, it's the snake. Oh, he's so tiny. Or I was thinking it was the same one in the current timeline, and then just like off with its head. That was a great subversion. It just, yeah, man, Noland coming in looking like a badass.
Right? And all of them are freaking out, and they're shouting at him, but all the while,
Kami killing
is like, this ceremony is over, and just says, hey, you're safe now. There's no need for you to die. And this girl finally breaks, and it's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. And I feel like you can already kind of see where things are going here when it comes to, like, this guy is a complete outsider, just kind of like just poo-pooed over all of like their kind of, spiritual ceremonies.
Yeah.
So that's not great.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's also like, we are treading a line here of the brutal savages not knowing things. Trope.
I think he actually treads this line really well.
Yeah, it's
feel
because
like the
they turn around on it.
Yeah, I think it helps that, like, I don't know, there's sort of like I guess we'll get to it when we get to it, but I feel like they're both portrayed kind of equally. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's some really thematic stuff we'll get into when it comes to how they talk to each other.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We do get an SBS where we get a bit of an explanation on Zoro's technique, the phoenix, the pound phoenix, where it's actually a reference to the weight of a cannonball. So you got all that. And what I didn't realize is a nice idea, because this is his long range attack. The Japanese word for phoenix sounds just like the word used for gun.
Yeah, I thought I pointed that out when he used it. I might have not.
You might have. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it definitely, that was one of those things that it took me a while to realize that was the pun. Because I think some translations use phoenix, some translations use gun. And that was sort of like, those are completely different. Why? But yeah, it's a pun, of course, because of course it's a pun.
Yeah, I feel like phoenix is cooler.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like bird shaped, isn't it?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah.
It has that idea. He's definitely combining the two, without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's all interesting, but let's get to chapter 288 and see the ramifications of Noland's actions with 288 Curse. And it turns out they did discover Ace was who he was when he got when he punched out that guy. But hey, it's all right. He punched out another guy, put on a fake mustache, and he's just some other guy now.
The fake mustache is so good.
Plus, he's still eating.
Got to make sure he doesn't fall asleep.
Yeah. Oh my God. The shenanigans are
it's so good.
Fantastic. But yeah, they're calling for Noland's head because he killed the Kashigami, and they're all just screaming at him because we're like, how are we gonna get through this? And all of his men are like, oh God, what'd the admiral do?
Yep.
And now they're like, all right, Kalgara, go kill him.
Yeah. It's just go get him. And then that first like clash. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah. Because Nolan's like, hey, I'm from the North Wheel. I'm trying to talk to you. He's like, I don't care. I'm going to kill you. And it's just like, it's like, oh, you just handle things by killing things. Where's your progress? And it's like, hey, you don't have any room to lecture us, and get a pretty cinematic standoff. We got the rain coming down, the thunder happening.
Yeah.
These two obviously
It's
very
rad.
strong men fighting each other. It's good stuff. And then Kalgara tosses a knife to the most beautiful girl whose name is Muse.
Something like that.
Muse? I don't know.
Muse, yeah.
And it's like, hey, shed tears now. You were a sacrifice, and to shed tears now, wanting to live, have some shame.
Have some shame. Kill yourself.
Right. And he's like, hey, stop that. Nolan smacks the knife out of Moose's hands. And Kalgara, showing himself to be not a man of honor, as soon as Nolan turns his back, stabs him in the shoulder.
Yeah, just right through. Which I feel like this exchange explains so much about like the things that the characters value.
Oh yeah,
right. Like if in the middle of the fight, I mean, you're already starting to see this, that like Nolan is just like there's no reason to waste life like this. To the point where he's going to like protect a woman from killing himself or from killing herself just so that he ends up taking the blow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's he puts himself in dire straits, but he doesn't even give up, because even as his men are all getting captured, Kalgara is like, don't underestimate the warriors of Shandora. You'll make 100 of you pay with your lives for killing the Kashigami. And Nolan's just like, hey, this ceremony's barbaric. Do you think that any of this actually pleases the gods? This is the affront to progress, and I won't stand for it. We sent out to make this world a better place, and this is an insult to me, so cut it out.
Yeah. I feel like if this is where they left it, it would have been like, oh God, here comes like the white savior coming to, to all the barbaric tribes people. We must show them like the right ways and all. But that's not where this ends up going, which I think this ends up coming out a lot smarter than your typical kind of like advanced civilization meets tribe kind of story.
Yeah, especially because he appeals to them with his next line and says, give me time and I can drive out this evil spirit. And if you fail, go ahead and do it your way. And they're all ready to kill him, but the chief is like, no, okay, we'll try it.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? And if you have not succeeded by tomorrow, these men die. All right. So, yeah. All of his men get locked up, and so
they're just in a big old cage.
Yeah, they got a giant
There's
cage.
even one guy trying to climb out.
It's so good. And then, of course, Moose has her own cage, and they're talking to her. It's like, hey, do you think there's any of the trees that the Admiral needs? And they're just sort of talking about that, and they're all being like, we can trust him.
Yeah. Look, y'all were at sea for what, like a year, 2 years?
Yeah, it's like, the captain's a bit crazy, and he's, he definitely goes all out for things, but he's also very reliable. Also, he's an explorer and a botanist, so he goes to uncharted islands all over the world, discovering new varieties of plants and studying them. So he likes to stick his nose into everything. So
yeah,
that's why we're in this situation. But push comes to shove, he comes through for us.
Yeah, I like that his crew trusts him.
Yeah, it's a good sign. And all the while, the other members of the tribe are like, hey, why didn't you let Kalgara kill him, Chief? Like, why, they're breaking commandments and all this. So what's going on here? Kalgara's like, yeah, if he screws up, I'm going to kill him immediately. And thank goodness for this chief. He's like, I don't hear the voice of the gods. I'm not like Pantori, who's dead now. but I can hear the words of a wise man.
It's pretty practical, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Even more interesting because Kalgara comes out and finds Seto waiting outside and just like, shouldn't you be laying down? He's like, oh no, I'm cured.
Yeah,
it's
which
like, what's progress?
He takes notice of.
Yeah, that's definitely fascinating. It's like the Seto was already cured thanks to a little bit of vaccine they had left.
Yeah.
So good to that. I feel like that has to be a bit of a sway to the whole thing.
Definitely. I hadn't noticed that on my read through, before we started recording, but I definitely see it now. That was seeing Seto like that is probably kind of what sort of sways Kalgara a bit.
A little bit, definitely not enough, as we'll see soon.
Not entirely.
There's definitely some convincing to be done because, hey, turns out this place is also getting rocked by earthquakes, which, I think I know what that is.
Yeah.
And, everybody's panicking, things are going bad, and then they're like, well, that's our fault. We left him alive, so he angered the gods even further, and Kalgara goes off to find him to kill him because, that's a problem. He's like, oh boy, the forest floor is sinking. And it looks like it could split apart at any moment. Huh.
How about that?
And poor Noland found himself squashed between two sections of land.
Yeah, which, definitely kind of, it was hard for me to understand what had happened.
Yeah, I guess he just got caught between the shifting plates or something like that.
Yeah, it's just a little. I thought it was a little contrived, but it ends up making sense.
Yeah, a little bit. It just, you don't see it, so it feels like, how the heck did that happen? But just
exactly. I was like, this is kind of a crucial thing that he's just like, oh, he got stuck, I guess.
Yeah, because we don't see it from his point of view at all. It's just, now he's stuck.
Yeah.
Kalgara is, like, of course, immediately laughing. I was like, ha! Gods decided to punish you for your contempt.
Everybody point and laugh.
And Nolan's like, gods weren't so tough after all since I'm still alive.
Yeah, I got him. Wow, you got a little rivalry brewing between these two.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm going to avenge you in the name of the Kashigama. It's like, oh, the snake? That didn't even look tasty. And he's like, hey, go away. I don't want to see your face right now. I've got to go save the village. And Kalgara's like, oh, we're just going to watch. I want to see you struggle. It's like, jeez.
Yep. See how things play out.
Yes. These good friends. Well, time for chapter 289, Full Moon. And we're away from Ace for a bit because we're in the military court on this base where...
Oh no, Ace is he's in disguise. He's over there on the left.
Oh god, I did miss him. Yeah. I completely missed him that he was the one facing our way. Because it's the coffee's just so bitter and nobody can take the coffee.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Justice in moderation, everybody.
Justice in moderation. You know what? That is interesting. It's justice and moderation because usually isn't it usually absolute justice?
Yeah. I feel like there are a couple of variations later on that get used as jokes. But okay. I guess this is the first time we've seen it. Yeah, we have the justice and moderation.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Well, back into Nolan still trapped as he's working himself out through that. What was that movie where they were trapped and had to cut his arm off? 48 hours or whatever. But yeah, that movie.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, cut him off. This feels like the candle thing with Zoro. It's just like, cut my legs off,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be able to fight.
I'll be fine. And a lot of it is just discussion between these two. Like Nolan trying to convince him and Kalgara being like, hey, you're being punished by the gods. That's all it is. So, I'll offer up the sacrifice. We'll offer up your crew, and that maybe will make the gods not angry anymore. Thanks to all that, and we still get discussion, and people are still dying from all this. Which, that makes me hope that family doesn't know that Kalgara has intentionally let him stay, because as we'll see later, things are getting they do get cured quite quickly, and there are still people dying because they're waiting.
Yeah. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. It was like, if you... He basically wasted a bunch of people's lives to, watch, point and laugh at a guy. Yeah,
because he dares question the gods.
Man, but apparently, just, this one random guy, he's just, there's a lot of people waiting to be buried, but, the guy is just, there's people keep dropping like flies, so he can't catch up. which is like, that's bleak.
Yeah, it is. Man, they're getting devastated, and everybody's getting upset, and is like, all right, well, time to kill you guys because all this is happening. It's like, no, we still got time. And that's when Seto comes in, is like, hey, have some pride.
Yeah, which is, hey, good zinger, man. Like, I feel like he could have been like, hey, I'm saved, don't kill them. But I love that just sort of more forcefully. He's just like, stick to your word.
Yeah, I look up to you, warriors, and you guys are acting like this. And all the while, they're still trying to do it. And all of a sudden, Nolan's strong enough that he's able to move the earth somewhat, but he's still too exhausted that it actually, I think he moves it away and then it comes back together and crushes it even further.
I think he's like sliding back in a little bit, but the fact that he's so strong that he's able to like almost pull himself out is just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And time's still passing. Seto's wondering what's going on. Everybody's panicking. It's like, oh God, I don't want to be a sacrifice. Just wait for him. He'll be here. Kalgara's just like, you look so pathetic. I'm looking forward to killing you. That sort of idea. And that's when Noland finally says, what are you afraid of? You're frightened of some unseen terror. And it's like, just so you can make yourselves feel better. And that hits a nerve for Kalgara. It's like, hey, this is how we survive for 100 years. Nolan's like, that doesn't make it right, because people's lives are more precious than these so-called gods. And just like, you're heartless. I don't understand it. You guys are doing despicable things. And that's when Kalgara's like, you think it doesn't bother us to offer up these sacrifices? Do you really think that even if the girl you saved yesterday was his daughter? Which I forgot about that.
Yeah, dang.
That is rough. And he just told her to kill herself too.
Yeah, just wow.
Yeah.
This conversation, I think, about like just people and kind of their relationship, with gods, the way that Nolan says people's lives are more precious. I think like in a lot of ways it feels like this flashback section is like a kind of a microcosm of sort of the story as a whole.
Yeah, to a degree, because it's Nolan kind of holding firm to the idea that a lot of our characters have right now when facing a Neru is like, he's not a god. He doesn't get the right to decide all of this despite his, obvious power. And if the gods are treating people like this, screw them. People are more important than these gods.
Yeah. And it feels like as a, I forget. So Nolan's a botanist. He's not really like a pirate, right? Although,
no,
I don't know.
He's not a pirate at all.
Yeah. But I guess sort of there's still that sort of, I mean, I guess the fact that he's like a researcher and all that, like I feel like the themes of kind of like freedom and kind of going about it your own way is sort of what is driving Nolan. And I feel like that is an interesting aspect to his character that does kind of parallel to like the modern day pirates of the story. Yeah.
I mean, his whole thing is, as we've seen many times up to this point, just progress. That's what he's all about.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, the Kashigami's son shows up, eating some other animal, mouth dripping with blood. And it's like, oh, so in the end, am I actually being judged by this thing, or am I dying in an accident? Is this village dying from a curse, or will it die from disease? He's like, hey, 60 years ago in my country, this happened to us, and it took 100,000 lives. My God.
Wow.
If you catch it, you had a 90% chance of dying. But thanks to what I found, the rate of people who die from the same disease haven't even reached 3%. That's because we found the antidotes. So I can save your village. And he's just begging with him throughout this time. And it's really compelling stuff. It's like, is he going to be, like, we know how it's going to go, but is he actually going to be swayed by this? What is it taking? And he's just shoving it all in the face. And we finally get Kalgara flashing back to the chief. Is like, even I can hear the words of a wise man. Yeah. And sure enough, Kalgara kills the snake in one blow with no issue.
Wow, and just that's the trust.
Yeah. And I love this line. What did I kill? A snake.
Not a god.
He's like, you're wrong. I broke a commandment and killed a god, but you say it was a snake. Will you really save my precious village? Can you save it? And Nolan's like, yes, I can. And then
and the fact that it's bringing him to tears.
Yeah, we even get some extra pages for this one, because usually we have about 19. This one we got a full 21. Just to have that wrap up of so quickly. Like, my God, this stuff works fast. Like,
everybody's saved.
And everybody's okay. And Kalgara gets to hug his daughter, and Noland is happy even though he's bandaged up to high heaven because of that fissure.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I think that's why it's compelling, is because it is such a philosophical debate in this situation with these high stakes.
Like I think what really got me is that it is just like the depiction of like two different cultures kind of coming together.
Yeah. Finding that common ground and seeing like, we believe this one thing and it's not helping, but you think you say you can do this, and they're like, should we trust you? You keep the tradition or do you keep the progress? And they chose progress. So it's, as you said, it's a thin line to stay between, but they managed to do it. I
kind of remembered some of this stuff in the back of my head, and I was like, I wonder how this is really going to hold up reading it through a modern lens, but it's surprisingly great.
Yeah. You can definitely go a little about certain things, like the fact that they believe this stuff at all.
It doesn't feel like disrespectful though.
Yeah.
I think it feels like these are people who have their beliefs, and that's fine. And this is a particular case where like they need help.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So let's get to our last chapter for the week, 290, The Light of Shandora. And we get introduced to Vice Admiral Komil, who also dislikes the base's bitter coffee. Is Ace going to save the day by finding some way to make not bitter coffee? Like, where is this going?
That would be incredibly... I have no idea where this is going.
Because we're here just trying to deliver some sort of letter from the farm girl, so...
Yeah.
The search for Blackbeard is off to a weird place.
Right, yeah. Oh, where is this going?
Good question. And then all of a sudden, we begin our chapter with another snake, a viper, the grandchild of the Kashigami, and it actually makes the two of them laugh. And it's like, we like this snake.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because Kalgara calls it a snake, and they're like, aha, gotcha. You didn't call it a god. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, that snake. I missed that part.
Yeah. So it's kind of like they're coming together.
And I'm pretty sure this is our future cat prison for Luffy. Because everything grows when they went to the sky, so it makes sense.
Well, yeah, because he keeps messing with my expectations, because I thought the last one was also, it was like, oh, there is another one. This is going to be it. And then no, just, Kalgara stabs it in the eye.
Yeah. It'd be really funny if like they laugh at this thing and all of a sudden they just cut off its head. It's like, no more guns. Yeah. and then it has a great grandchild. It's like, that's the one we're looking for. Just this egg. But yeah, everybody's like, they really get along together right now.
Best friends.
Yeah, they're best friends now. And we've never seen Kalgara actually laugh like this before. They finally reached that friendship that we heard about when this whole flashback started.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to this cliff where they find, I guess, a platform, or at least a hidden way that leads underground. When they hear the bell, they go through, and notably, and this is the thing that convinced me, as soon as they get to that part, the snake does the chulala, like it was when it first arrived in the city.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it celebrates in the same way, and sure enough, we go here down this step and find this hidden place somehow where we finally see the city of gold. That is obviously gold. Like, yes. I couldn't tell before because of the shading, but now it's like, oh yes, that is gold. Yep. And
and I guess that makes sense because Inaru took it all.
Yeah. Holy crap, that bell is huge.
Yeah, it is massive.
It didn't strike me at first like how big it was, but seeing it now and really looking at this 2-page spread, whew, that is...
Yeah, they are tiny in comparison.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. And yeah, they explain to it, it's like, we are the descendants of those who built it, the Shandora, the city of gold. And everybody's like, oh, hell yes, all this gold. Turns out, I was like, oh, God, this is going to cause a rift because they're going to want to take it. And like, no, you guys save this. You can have as much as you want.
It's take it. All right.
And Nolan's immediately like, wait a second. Haven't your people been protecting this for ages? It's like, yeah, we're protecting the city, but not the treasure.
Yeah, they're protecting the poneglyph.
The poneglyph. That's what Robin wants.
Yeah.
And not even they, 400 years ago, can read it.
Yeah. this line from Kalgara is interesting to me, and I'll point it out and not comment on it further, but he says that what's certain is that the city of Shandora was destroyed in a fight to protect this stone. And,
what is up with these poneglyphs?
Interesting. Yeah, right? Seriously. It's clear that these are very important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Robin is so interesting, because she can read the dang thing, so...
Yeah.
Ooh. But they're like, hey, they sacrificed that much, and it's our duty to protect that the proof that our ancestors fought and lived. So that's why we have this. And that's when Noland explains that, yeah, me hearing the bell is what brought me to this land. And they ring it because it's their way of spreading the message, we're right here. So it's the glory of their past.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it really is. It's the cool parts of their society rather than the sacrificial parts. Like it's good stuff.
Although I find it interesting for such a massive bell that Noland was the only one who could hear it. So I don't know. Maybe it's not mantra and the rest of them are just dumb.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. I was like, how did you guys not hear that?
I like that the snake is still just hanging around him now. I was like, oh, he's a pet.
Yeah. A little guy.
Uh-huh. I like how, like, I wonder if he'll become one of those giant serpents. Maybe in another 100 years or so. Maybe about 400. It's like, hey, stay here as long as you want, Noland. You're guests, and it's we want to show our hospitality properly. And he's just like, hey, I want to go into the forest and gather some specimens and oversee the tree fever treatment until it's actually finished. And they happen to find an eternal pose and a map of Jaya. That's when we get a little bit more lore. The location of the city is hidden in its name. Shandora means the skull's right eye.
Which, hey, that was... We went through all that.
Yeah. We finally figured it out. Noland's giving them some crops to grow some interesting things. Everybody's sort of just getting along. They're rebuilding things. They're coming together. He's introducing them to pumpkins. I like Noland with his glasses on. It's just good times together, and get to see the daughter dancing around the bonfire. Oh yeah, the bonfire.
Yeah.
Just like the crew. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's good stuff. They're rivals because they're both going after these giant sea creatures. They're drinking buddies. It's just they're good friends. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I really like Noland. It reminds me of how much I like cricket.
Yeah.
Kalgara is okay, but Noland's the one that stands out for me.
Yeah, seeing the friendship kind of bud over really dire circumstances is really satisfying, though.
It really is.
Yeah. I just got see that last panel, or not the last panel, but they're just kind of like sharing a drink like over the sunset. Like, I don't know, these guys are bros.
Yeah, but then something happens after a month where all of them are like, hey, they're Noland and the others are coming. Don't say a word about what we saw last night. They're sailing in a few days, so just don't do anything hasty. And everybody's like, I knew it. Our people can't see eye to eye. And they make good medicine, but at the end, there's still men who have new qualms about killing gods, so they can trample on our history. And they're like, everybody's sort of cold to them, but they're like what? Why?
yeah. Noland, he's just rolling up like normal,
Yeah, and everybody's like, wait, why do they hate us all of a sudden? It's like, well, let's just keep working because we still have some force we haven't gotten to. And they're like, hey, don't give in to your rage. To the Shandians amongst each other, don't give in to your rage. And Kalgara is even upset. It's like, I never want to see his face again. If I see him, I just might kill him.
Man, what happened?
I know something's up with the bell, I guess, because it didn't ring.
Yeah.
So they'll be leaving in 2 more days once they finish the forest, or 3 days after they finish the forest. And they're like, should we leave now? It's like, no, we're going to finish our job, then get some sleep. And we just end with Noland's face and a splash.
What an interesting ending.
Right. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
The way we ended this is like,
yeah,
good, and all of a sudden bad again. Like, oh,
all right,
okay.
What's going on, man? For all of the things that I'm, as somebody who's caught up, and I'm going like, oh, look at that, this is so, but like whatever this is, I have no idea.
Yeah, I got no clue.
Yeah. Oh, this flashback is so fascinating.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure for those little moments when I don't, and I have no idea. I probably will have no idea unless I reread the series again after it all
Yeah.
finishes again. So
I might have to come back to this flashback specifically in like 3 years.
maybe. We do have an SBS. Nothing major, but I do like that one guy's like, hey, the question corner used to be decent. Now it's a whacked out corner. And then he does
I know, right?
Then he does exactly. Then he does this thing is like, by the way, what about these Japanese only things? And Oda spends the entire time answering questions about those things. And it's, oh yeah, why is the question corner the way it is? All I know is not my fault.
Why? He just says, yeah, my readers are terrible.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh God. So I thought that was funny, but
Yeah, that's fun.
That's our set of chapters. It's
Yeah.
I feel like I should be more upset that we stepped away from the action, but I'm not. Like I didn't really miss it. Like
This flashback has been super good. It's one. I feel like this was the right spot for it because I mean we basically know like Luffy is going to go back up to Inaru and finish the fight, and so we're kind of like in this little bit of a lull. So it would be better now than any to kind of start wrapping up the hanging threads for like sort of the backstory about the place.
Yeah, it helps out because rather than just Luffy runs up the stalk and finds Enaru or however it's going to go, we get a little bit of a breather because it's been nonstop action for a while now, rescue missions and stuff like that, and to get that backstory at this point, and it works also at this point because we've had round one. We've had our sense of everything going on, and it basically like, okay, we got to go and we got to escape, and I don't know, it just works out. So
also before we wrap up, I just realized that no, I was being dumb. Yes, this flashback is 400 years ago.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I think it's because both it's 400 years ago, and then like they're talking about, hey, we're protecting this place for the great battle that happened, like the city of gold for our ancestors, for what happened 400 years prior to that. So it's both numbers being 400 was like, oh, wait, what? I think it was confusing me. Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was my fault for doubting Oda or doubting the translation, which I don't know. It makes sense. I'm just being dumb.
Oda remembers this stuff. That's
remembers.
For sure. Oh boy. But with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 286 to 290 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. Like I mentioned last week, the Dragon Ball Super manga is doing Superhero, so that'll be good fun. Go check that out. Otherwise, I'm just keeping doing what I'm doing.
Sounds good. Definitely give it a look-see. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 291 to 295 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
I just broke one of our commandments. I just killed a precious god. A god! Do you understand me? But all you can see is a snake. And you see our deadly curse as some curable disease. Tell me, can you save our village? I can.